2019 State of the City for Santa Monica. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Mr. Santa Monica himself, Nat Travis.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. It's my honor to call to order the 2019 State of the City. This event would not be possible without the generous support of our sponsors, including the lead sponsor, the City of Santa Monica. I mean, you can clap if you want. What's wrong with you? Sitting on your hands? Our presenting sponsors, Santa Monica Place, Optimum Seismic, and Plaza Santa Monica. Our future sponsors, Water Garden, Santa Monica Travel and Tourism, the Cedars-Sinai Medical Center. I'd also like to acknowledge Mayor Gleam Davis, Mayor Pro Tem Terry O'Day, members of the Santa Monica City Council, Sue Hemmerich, Anna Marie Hara, Kevin McEwen, Greg Marina, Ted Winterer, City Manager Rick Cole, City Attorney Elaine Dilge, City Clerk Denise Anderson Warren. And we also have many city staff, commissioners, chamber board members, and representatives from our elected officials, County Supervisor Sheila Kuehl, Senator Ben Allen, Richard Bloom, the member of the Assembly, and Congressman Ted Lieu. Give them all a round of applause. And we appreciate the support and partnership of all of our community leaders. Tonight's networking reception features local businesses offering vegetarian small bites and reusable foodware where recyclables and compostable items. Please take the opportunity to get to know your neighbors, mingle, use the recycling collection receptacles provided, and working together, Sustainable Foods help us align with the City of Santa Monica's new disposable food serviceware regulations. And get this now, this one I want to hear a round of applause, by zero waste by 2030. Can you believe that? That'll be my 19th State of the City. Kevin's laughing at me. Now I'd like to invite Ian McElraith, Director of Peace and Community Relations for Soka Gakkai International, our host for this evening.
Thank you, Nat, and good evening, Santa Monica Chamber of Commerce members. We are so happy to yet again be hosting this annual State of the City event for the greatest city in all of Southern California, right? SGI USA had a historic 2018 with a gathering of 50,000 young people in 9 venues across the nation on September 23rd, all of whom pledged to stand up and usher in an era of hope and respect across our great nation. Now we're looking forward to the limitless possibilities that 2019 holds, and are pleased to welcome you for today's program that will be exploring that very same topic. Thank you all very much for coming this evening. Please enjoy the program.
The foundation of any city is a strong and vibrant business community.
To chart a sustainable future, it's vital to understand why Santa Monica is prosperous today.
It's not just a beach town. It is a mecca of where the innovation happens.
We have more than 9,500 businesses employing nearly 90,000 people and some of the best hotels and restaurants anywhere in the world.
A thriving downtown that's able to weave together the different pieces of a vibrant, thriving economy.
Balancing an enviable quality of life with ideals of inclusiveness.
We believe in protecting our environment for future generations.
A younger workforce with a deep emphasis on emerging technologies.
We believe every child should have an equal start.
Our diverse economy and our strong balance sheet has earned Santa Monica the highest bond rating that a public agency can achieve.
Investing in new transportation.
Parks, schools, and support for the less advantaged.
Our work today can build a more resilient and more vibrant community for tomorrow.
Residential in Santa Monica fuses with business in Santa Monica to take us to this amazing harmony and gives us the American dream every day.
For today and for the future.
Please welcome to the stage President and CEO of the Santa Monica Chamber of Commerce, Laurel Rosen.
You know, so we all live busy lives, so I want to thank you for taking the time to join us this evening. Thank you very much. So I'd like to welcome you to the 9th Annual State of the City Economic Sustainability Summit. It's wonderful to see so many of you, so many businesses, community leaders, city officials, and residents, and we do have residents here, which I'm very happy about, with us this evening. I'd also like to give a special shout out to Jeff Clockey. So when he's not spinning cotton candy at Pacific Park, he's busy spinning his energy and enthusiasm on behalf of the Chamber. I just want to acknowledge and thank our chair, General Manager at Pacific Park, Jeff Clockey. Thank you, Jeff. I also want to thank my dedicated team at the Chamber, our event co-chairs who are Cindy Giordano-Taylor and Brian McMahon. Please, yeah. And their committee as well. You know, it's not easy to produce this event, and they do it with grace, and they do it with vision and hard work, and they make this event a reality. So we all share an urgency to be agile and to collectively create a new vision for Santa Monica. For this evening's summit, we bring together thought leaders in the city, our city government, that are actively working on finding solutions to the most pressing problems. They're joined by two guest panelists who bring a wealth of experience, global and regional insights, and best practices. As part of this discussion, they will talk about how we can collaborate to build trust and create public partnerships with the public-private partnerships that will benefit all of us. Tonight's theme is Shaping a Changing World. And for the Chamber, that is really more than just a theme. Our mission is to be the convener, the nexus point between businesses, city government, and the committee as we help shape the future of Santa Monica. So we have always been engaged in helping our city find solutions for our most urgent issues. This year is no exception. We face many challenges like homelessness and crime, and we work very closely with our city manager, our police chief, and our local and regional stakeholders to balance the needs of our business community and residents to help ensure we have a prosperous, safe, and sustainable home in Santa Monica. So events like this are crucial, and we can serve as a catalyst for change, but that would not be possible without sponsors. So please join me and thanking, and you can see them behind me, please join me in thanking our 3 presenting sponsors who are shaping a changing world right in our own backyard. Please. There are Plaza at Santa Monica, who is creating a beautiful new vision of how we join together to create connections and community right in the heart of our city. Santa Monica Place is charged with being the leaders in shaping the evolution of retail. They're guiding us to understand changing lifestyles while they create cutting-edge experiences that embrace current trends with a watchful eye on placemaking and building community. Optimum Seismic's message of resiliency, it's clear. Protect this incredible community we all get to live and work in. At the forefront of helping us prepare for impending disasters, they are shaping a future that keeps us all safe. So all of these fine organizations and countless others are changing this incredible community that we all get to work and live in. They're enabling us to be a vital part of shaping a changing world, which is our theme. You'll hear more from them this evening. So I want to thank you again for choosing us tonight and not going home to Netflix binge. I'd like to close with a thought from Henry Ford. Coming together is a beginning. Keeping together is progress. And working together, now that's success. And speaking of working together, it's really my pleasure to present the Economic Excellence Award, not only to an organization that the Chamber has worked closely with over the years, but to a friend whose leadership of this organization is driving economic development and investment in our community, a friend of mine for over 20 years and a friend to many in Santa Monica. Santa Monica Travel and Tourism works to strengthen our local economy by enhancing and promoting our community as a distinctive, compelling, and welcoming travel destination. Formed in 1982 as a private, nonprofit corporation, the purpose of Santa Monica Travel and Tourism is to promote Santa Monica as a conference, business, and leisure travel destination. Misty Kearns, President and CEO of SMTT, joined the organization in 1997 and has served in her current role for more than 20 years. She founded the I Am Santa Monica program, which I was proud to be with her as one of those founders, which has certified over 3,500 local employees and community members as official Santa Monica ambassadors. It is my great pleasure to welcome Misty Kearns to the stage to accept this year's Economic Excellence Award on behalf of the entire team at SMTT. Misty Kearns. Nice to you, my dear.
It isn't possible. I was only 10 when I first met Laurel. I just want to point that out. We're really honored to represent the tourism community. It's not just Santa Monica Travel and Tourism. It's many of you in this room collaborating with us as we're recognized this evening for our industry's contributions to our local economy. I just wanted to take a moment and thank my chairman of the board, Richard Chalker, one of our small businesses and a great leader on our team. And as Richard is, we all know that Santa Monica is very unique and special. Just take a walk along the pier or on our beaches, and you're bound to be greeted by a myriad of languages and just as many smiles. Santa Monica is known worldwide as a destination for dreamers, a city that welcomes all, and a place to come as you are as you soak up that essence of the California lifestyle. And while they're here, our visitors don't drive. It's a fact that 81% of them report that they do not drive once they've arrived at their overnight accommodations, with the majority of them selecting Santa Monica as a base due to the ability of walkability at different activities and attractions throughout the community. And what do we get in exchange for this visitor experience? They contribute to making our city more diverse, more interesting, and they contribute tenfold to the economic vitality and the employment impact that they provide our community. Tourism employs 13,345 individuals doing jobs that cannot be exported out of our community, employing many of us in this room. Through hotel transient occupancy, TOT, over the last decade, our hotels have delivered nearly $440 million to the city's general fund. with a record-breaking $66 million collected in 2018. Sales tax is estimated at nearly $90 million over the last decade. And for homeowners in the room, we're also being able to save $1,379 on your property taxes per year if tourism didn't exist that helped pay for those city services. They play a vital role in funding essential city services, such as our exceptional police and fire departments, school systems, our homeless services, as well as the maintenance of our parks and beaches that make our city a world-class place to live, work, and play. Our local businesses thrive here due to the balance of local residents and tourism. And it's a careful balance. I live here, I've raised my family here, and it's important that we don't get overrun with tourists. We all know that. We fetch out far to bring people who will come in and stay longer and spend more money. What do they spend annually in our local restaurants last year? $346 million. And $790 million supporting our brick and mortar retailers, which I'm sure we can all agree desperately need that support. This all directly shows the benefit that our small businesses offer in Santa Monica, making it a place that is truly powered by its people. I encourage each of you to reflect on the value this vital industry brings to your life as an individual and to our broader community. Thank you to the city for your partnership and your guidance, and thank you to the Santa Monica Chamber of Commerce for your recognition of the many ways that the tourism industry contributes to our very well-loved Santa Monica community. Thank you so much.
Please welcome to the stage Kathleen Rawson.
Hello. Obviously, I'm not Julia Ladd, although people do confuse us a lot. So as she couldn't be here tonight, I'm pleased to recognize one of our major sponsors, Santa Monica Place, a valuable community partner to Downtown Santa Monica, Inc., and a major stakeholder in downtown. Santa Monica Place is a leader in retail space innovation, embracing the changing times in multiple ways, from their early adoption of new digitally native brands into brick and mortar environments, to their evolution beyond just a retail experience into a well-rounded cultural destination with dining, entertainment, cinemas, a cooking school, and now the highly anticipated Caton Children's Museum Cherwell opening this spring. We are grateful that Santa Monica Place opened its doors, making downtown Santa Monica the new home of this amazing museum. Not only does this unique venue meet several goals of the Downtown Community Plan, it's a significant cultural asset that will enrich our community, providing people of all ages another opportunity to learn and grow. Their mission statement says it all. At Cherwell, we cultivate brave and generous thinkers. Through arts, immersive play, and real-world action, we guide children and youth to recognize injustice and the possibility within their communities and beyond, and to take meaningful, collaborative, and collective action to create a better future. I can't think of a better way to embrace this year's theme of shaping a changing world than by welcoming the Caton Children's Museum to downtown Santa Monica. Thank you.
Please welcome to the stage Frank Stefan.
Hello to the city's business community, the mayor, city council members, and the entire Santa Monica community. We are all here to support this great city, and I have the privilege of introducing the Plaza at Santa Monica, which is a result of a robust public process driven by the citizens of Santa Monica to create a sustainable repurposing of a full block of public land featuring iconic architecture and generating a steady stream of city revenue. And we are focused on delivering just that. Designed by the studio of renowned Rem Koolhaas, the Plaza will maximize public transit integration, create vast community gardening space, deliver ocean view terraces, open green space, and of course, our beloved seasonal ice skating rink, and will meet some of the highest LEED standards. And one of the most inspiring things about the plaza is its incorporation of rich and thoughtful cultural programming within the future outdoor public spaces totaling more than 40,000 square feet. We are thrilled to announce our collaboration with the Broad Stage, whose ethos will generate the creative energy in the center of our space, architecturally and in spirit. Right now, we are developing the foundation of our partnership, which will be focused on a strong sense of community and a wide range of cultural programming. Our program will be constructed to host Santa Monica's diverse residents and visitors alike to enjoy art, lectures, cinema, and performances. And it will strive to fully embrace both interior and exterior public gathering places throughout the property. With the inclusion of Creative Office, a Union Hotel, and neighborhood-serving retail, the plaza will generate more than $300 million in city revenue over the next 30 years. And last but not least, the plaza will provide $24 million in funding for affordable housing. We feel honored to be the city's partner in bringing the plaza at Santa Monica to life. I now have the privilege of introducing our next speaker. Gleam Davis has been a member of the Santa Monica City Council since 2009. Last November, she was elected by her peers to serve as the mayor of our great city. Mayor Davis brings a wealth of experience to her new role, including her 10 years as a council member and positions on the Santa Monica Planning Commission, the Board of Directors of WISE Senior Services, the Santa Monica Child Care and Early Education Task Force, the Santa Monica Malibu Unified School District's Facilities Bond Advisory Committee, and her experience as a corporate and federal civil rights attorney. Now it is my honor to ask Mayor Gleam Davis to the stage to update us on the state of our city.
Good evening, Santa Monica. Yeah, come on. I'm so pleased to be with you here with you tonight to talk about how our city's doing and how by working together we can really shape Santa Monica's future. First, I'd like you to join me in a quick look at 10 key milestones we hit in 2018.
As we ring in the new year, we want to take a moment to reflect on 10 milestones that shaped our city in 2018.
Santa Monica doubled down on homelessness in 2018. We welcomed Elisa Orduña, Senior Advisor on Homelessness. The city created a homelessness action team to maximize impact in our parks, beaches, libraries, neighborhoods, and downtown. Our specialized social services outreach teams connected with more than 700 people experiencing homelessness, and our police homeless liaison program was deployed 7 days a week. We partnered with the Homelessness Steering Committee to build a community coalition to listen, learn, and act. And we launched a toolkit resource distributed to every household and business in our community.
The city launched its Shared Mobility Pilot Program in September. The pilot program builds upon the city's Breeze bike share system and expands Santa Monica's commitment to become a truly multimodal community.
In May, we welcomed Cynthia Renaud as Santa Monica's new Chief of Police. Her goals include lowering crime, positively impacting homelessness, and fostering relationships with both our resident and business communities.
The city's North Beach Playground opened in September, joining the ranks of 4 other beachside playgrounds for Sandside Fun. The play areas are highlighted by barrier-free equipment such as a 2-mast space net, a bird's nest basket swing, and a sensory garden.
The City Council was innovative in expanding the ban on non-recyclable plastic food service containers to include all single-use plastics. This includes straws, lids, utensils, plates, bowls, trays, containers, stirrers, cups, and lid plugs. This will help the city achieve its goal of zero waste through diversion, composting, and recycling by 2030.
The Big Blue Bus celebrated its 90th birthday in November. The turnout was incredible, and the Big Blue Bus staff celebrated and connected with more than 500 riders.
And you know, this summer, Big Blue Bus launched MODE, that's Mobility on Demand every day. It's a partnership with Lyft to improve rideshare for older adults and seniors who live here in our community.
Big Blue Bus has proactively improved system safety, resulting in the American Public Transportation Association Gold Status Award.
The city launched a new initiative called We Are Santa Monica in September to invite neighbors, local nonprofits, businesses, and community organizations to get involved in creating a stronger community for everyone. Learn more at weare.santamonica.gov.
Santa Monica won a key victory against online companies Airbnb and HomeAway.com in a court case earlier this year. The trial court upheld Santa Monica's home sharing law, which prohibits vacation rentals that threaten to turn residential units in our community into de facto hotels. The companies appealed, and we are awaiting a decision from the Court of Appeals.
In October, the Santa Monica City Council approved the selection of 100% renewable energy as the default product for all residential electricity customers beginning in February of 2019. By sourcing renewable energy from the Clean Power Alliance, Santa Monica can reduce the city's emissions of global warming pollution by as much as 20%.
The Community Corporation of Santa Monica opened 64 new affordable homes. Although affordable housing issues are complex and there's no magic solution, the Arroyo development reflects our new ambitious policies to address this important issue affecting our entire region.
We're proud of our achievements in 2018, and it's been an honor to serve you as Santa Monica's mayor for the past 2 years.
As Santa Monica's mayor, serving the community is an honor. We look forward to another productive year as we continue to build on our successes, and we recognize that there are still significant challenges ahead. We will tackle big issues like reducing homelessness, bolstering economic sustainability, tackling crime rates, and continuing to build a strong and equitable multimodal transportation network. Join us in continuing to make Santa Monica a city that works for everyone in 2019 and beyond. So you can see that, like any year, 2018 was filled with both triumphs and learning opportunities. But as John F. Kennedy said, let us not seek to fix the blame for the past, let us accept our own responsibility for the future. So I want to resist the temptation to focus on our past, both good and bad, and instead I'd like to spend a few moments this evening to talk about Santa Monica's future, both the obstacles we face and our plans to overcome them and build a thriving and resilient Santa Monica. As we consider our 10-year financial forecast, we see that we are going to have to focus on maintaining a diverse and robust local economy while we rethink the way that the city allocates resources and deals with the looming pension liability that threatens every city in California. We must transition from being a government mired in the old ways of doing things and evolve to become a customer-centered, agile, and accessible 21st century government. 2 weeks ago, my city council colleagues and I spent a Saturday afternoon discussing where to focus our resources and efforts in the coming years. With community involvement, we agreed on these 6 areas: affordability, keeping neighborhoods safe, reducing homelessness, climate change, mobility and access, engaged and thriving community. We also elected to adopt overarching city values that will inform all the work we do. They are accountability, equity, inclusion, resilience, safety, and stewardship. So now I'd like to briefly go over our budget framework priorities one by one. First, affordability. Today we find ourselves in a situation where the California dream is beyond the financial reach of too many people. California, in case you haven't heard, is in the midst of a housing crisis. This is the major driver for rising rents and soaring housing prices. And Santa Monica is not immune from the pernicious effects of this housing crisis, but we are doing everything we can to address it. Santa Monica protects current renters with one of the most aggressive rent control laws in the state. We also recently increased the relocation fees that must be paid to renters who are being forced out of their homes. We are incentivizing the construction of new housing, especially deed-restricted affordable housing. We are using a variety of measures, including direct housing subsidies, to support our most vulnerable populations, particularly our seniors, who deserve to age in place with dignity and grace. We also are creating specialized zoning rules for the Pico neighborhood to protect that neighborhood's unique, diverse character. Are these measures enough? Absolutely not. As we enter the new year, we plan to look for more ways to protect existing tenants, residents, build more housing near transit, and look for innovative ways to retain our wonderfully diverse population. Our next priority, keeping neighborhoods safe. Crime is a very real issue in our community. And as mayor, I believe that every member of our community should feel safe, whether they are at home, at their place of work, or enjoying one of our fabulous public spaces. And while Santa Monica remains a relatively safe city, we know that crime was up 8.8% in 2019. I'm pleased, however, to share that we began 2019 with a 12.5% dip in crime, and we are committed to maintaining this momentum. Let me assure you that our new police chief, Cynthia Reynaud, is tackling crime systematically. Our police are more visible, we're hiring more officers, and we are moving more officers on to foot patrol. Our police are encouraging the community to report crime when it happens, and they are analyzing that data to inform where and how to deploy resources. And our police are working closely with community groups and businesses to create a safer, more crime-resistant environment. We know this issue is important to everybody, and in the spirit of accountability, Chief Reynaud will continue to share the results of these and the other measures she is taking throughout the year. Reducing homelessness. We know, sadly, that almost 1,000 people in Santa Monica are experiencing homelessness, and we know it's a concern to you all. Our approach for reducing homelessness includes launching a team of experts that engage with unsheltered residents in our city and work to get them the services that they so desperately need. Piloting several get-togethers in our public libraries to connect people to services. This has worked so well that we will soon have a full-time social worker in our libraries who will be a reliable and accessible person to people who come to our libraries and need to be connected to services. And as you saw in the video, we created We Are Santa Monica. This outreach initiative uses real stories of real people who are making a difference in Santa Monica to raise awareness about the challenge of homelessness and encourage public involvement in solutions that will move the dial and ultimately help those in our community that need it most. Our next priority is climate change. Climate change is real. From the ravages of the fires in California to the polar vortex in the east, the evidence that we are threatened by shifts in our climate is undeniable. Here in Santa Monica, the threat is to our very identity as a beach city. Without a dramatic decline in greenhouse gas emissions, 2/3 of Santa Monica's beaches will disappear by 2100. We continue to be on the leading edge of addressing climate change. Beginning this month, through our membership in the Clean Power Alliance, our residents and businesses will have the opportunity to get 100% of their energy from non-nuclear renewable sources. We have committed to reducing our reliance on all fossil fuels, and as part of that commitment, we are moving towards electrification of our Big Blue bus fleet. And we now require new single-family construction to be energy neutral. But we can do more. One of the most effective things that any community can do to reduce greenhouse gas emissions is build housing so that people can walk, bike, scooter, or take affordable and efficient transit to their jobs. So as we think about future development, we always need to ask ourselves, will it reduce our dependence on the automobile? We are stewards of the environment in so many ways, through our expanded plastics ban, our commitment to being water self-sufficient, and our intent to divert 90% of our waste away from landfills. With these and other pro-environmental efforts, we here in Santa Monica are demonstrating that you can care and protect the environment and still be economically successful. Our next priority, mobility and access. We know that traffic and pedestrian safety are problems that vex Santa Monicans. Solving traffic will require that we make public transit a better alternative to the personal auto and that we make our streets safer for other modes of transit, such as walking. I'm pleased to report that last year we had no pedestrian fatalities. And, we also increased the visibility of our green lanes with vibrant paint and other improvements. But this is not enough. In the future, we will continue to cultivate a culture of using transit, walking, and biking amongst our youth and their parents through Safe Routes to School programming. We are in the midst of a shared mobility pilot program that includes both education and enforcement, and that is encouraging the safe use of scooters and other dockless mobility devices. We also have made great strides in creating designated spaces where those devices can both be rented and dropped off. But we still need to look for innovative ways to move around our city and region. Traffic is a regional problem. We have to work with our regional partners to make transit more convenient and more accessible. We need to build more protected green lanes where people can feel safe riding their bikes or their scooters. Now, let me be clear. Our goal is not to take away anyone's automobile. But when we drive, we need to admit that we are the traffic we hate so much. That is why we want everyone to have multiple mobility options that will allow each of us to reduce or eliminate our dependence on traffic-causing automobiles. Our last but certainly not least priority is creating an engaged and thriving community. What does an engaged and thriving community look like? It's a place where residents feel connected to each other and to their local institutions, and we clearly need to work on this. Engagement is crucial. We know there is a widespread mistrust of government. If we are to rebuild this trust, we need to do a better job of meeting our constituents where they are. We must provide better opportunities for the exchange of ideas and concerns between City Hall and you. We also need to do a better job of communicating, not just what we are doing, but why we are doing it. You may not agree with all our decisions, but you have a right to know the basis for those decisions. In the coming year, with a much-needed revamp of our city's website, I hope we can improve constituent services, demonstrate greater transparency, and provide an opportunity for everyone to see for herself what the city is doing. We also intend to have more community conversations where we will give you all an opportunity to have in-depth discussions about what is happening in Santa Monica. Thriving certainly depends on economic and educational opportunity. But all the research shows that it also means we must connect to each other and our community in more meaningful ways. Santa Monica is recognized throughout the world as a sustainable city of well-being. This is not just a pie-in-the-sky idea about a vague notion of happiness. As Santa Monica demonstrated when it won the Bloomberg Philanthropies grant for creating our Well-Being Index, well-being can be measured, and what can be measured can be improved. And I just want to point out that the world is noticing our work in this area. Just this week, Santa Monica was named a finalist, along with cities around the globe, for the 2019 Well-Being City Award. Our Well-Being Index is showing some improvements, including gains in kindergarten readiness and a reduction in the sense of isolation among our older residents. But we are committed to doing more. Last year, we awarded our first series of microgrants, $500 to community members who were interested in creating opportunities to build connections within their communities. These microgrants brought a neighborhood together around a pop-up playground on a vacant lot and introduced members of different generations and ethnic groups to each other. We also began the Pico Wellbeing Project, which is focusing efforts and resources in the areas where the data shows we need those efforts most. In the coming year, we will continue to look and work towards more innovative ways to improve our collective and individual well-being so we all can thrive. Thank you for letting me share our priorities and our plans for the next few years. But before I go, I want you to know that embedded in these budget framework priorities is a lofty vision for our city. And realizing this vision will be a team effort, and each and every one of you are part of that team. So Team Santa Monica, what can you do? Stay connected, and just not online. Our resident survey shows that many people get their news from social media. But as I hope you all know, not everything on Facebook or Twitter or many websites is true. And much of what we see there is meant to appeal to our worst instincts, not our better angels. Instead, make a personal connection. Turn to the person sitting beside you and appreciate the effort that you all made to come here tonight and be part of this group activity. Create opportunities and a space for constructive and civil dialogue. Yeah, say hi. Curiosity and listening with an open mind are key to understanding and progress. When we listen to others, we learn, we grow. It's fine to have an opinion, but remember JFK's observation that too often we enjoy the comfort of opinion without the discomfort of thought. Embrace change. You may not like it, but you cannot avoid it. We cannot reconstruct the Santa Monica of 1950. We need to plan for the Santa Monica of 2050 and beyond. And finally, let's be solution-oriented. It's okay to complain. I know things are not perfect, but complaining only identifies the problem. Help us do the harder and more satisfying work of bringing real solutions to the difficult problems that we all collectively face. As your mayor, I pledge to work towards this goal and ask that you join me in this effort. As I opened with a quote from JFK, I'd like to end with one. Things do not happen, they are made to happen. If we work together, it is within our collective power to make 2019 a productive year that sees profound and positive change, and then we truly will be a sustainable city of well-being. Thank you very much.
Please welcome the Chief Operating Officer of Optimum Seismic Incorporated, Mr. Ali Sahabi.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Full disclosure, I missed the rehearsal earlier today, so I'm not going to be as sharp as other speakers. This was supposed to be funny. Sense of humor. Well, before I start, I want to introduce a small part of our team that took the time to come out here tonight. Please stand, Optimum Seismic, members of our team, engineers, accountants, client relations managers here tonight. Thank you for being here. As a member of Santa Monica Chamber of Commerce, I have been involved in building and seismic retrofitting of existing building here in Santa Monica since 1988. Our company has completed almost 2,000 projects that include some of the largest commercial buildings and bridges, infrastructure over the last 30 years. On behalf of Optimum Seismic, I want to let you know how proud I am to be one of the presenting sponsors tonight. What makes me so proud, it's really what should make us all proud to be members of this community. What do I mean by that? Surprisingly, it's not going to be our most beautiful beaches that we have here. It's not the most amazing restaurants and hotels. It's not even our wonderful police and fire department. I am referring to an action that was taken by our city leaders almost 2 years ago. That is adopting the most comprehensive earthquake, retrofitting, and resiliency ordinances in the country. Please give our leaders a round of applause for doing it. This ordinance is now a model for the rest of California. Cities are looking at this ordinance as a model. In a few years, ladies and gentlemen, when these buildings are retrofitted, we can look back and be in a position where we know that we did everything humanly possible to protect our people, safety of our people, our businesses, and overall the fabric of our community. This is what this ordinance is about. That we can be in good conscience, know that we did everything possible to protect our children, people that visit our visitors, our city, and shop here and live here. From the inevitable, it's the major earthquake event that all the scientists and engineers are predicting. As you may have noticed, last couple of years, there is a lot of talk about this event that we are all expecting. So to me, ladies and gentlemen, this is thoughtful and responsible city leadership. Again, because of that, please give our leaders a round of applause. Now, our next speaker is one of the individuals who was instrumental in the process of enacting this ordinance. Most of you or all of you may know him, Rick Cole, has been a local public servant for 3 decades, including serving as Santa Monica City Manager since 2015. Rick is recognized nationwide for his innovation and leadership. As our city manager, he has a front row seat to changes in the economy and local government. He was appointed by Eric Garcetti, LA mayor, to the position of Deputy Mayor for Budget and Innovation. In that role, he was responsible for a budget of $8.6 billion and oversaw 5 city departments and 3,000 staff. As I said earlier, he has served as our city manager since 2015, tackling issues ranging from homelessness to mobility. With that, please welcome Rick Cole, our city manager.
Good afternoon, everyone. We're going to have a lively panel discussion here momentarily. I just want to say a couple of words that tail on to what Mayor Davis kicked off with absolutely masterful State of the City address just moments ago. And that is the importance of planning for 2050, not 1950. The City of Santa Monica's State of the City is strong. But it's strong because of visionary leaders like Nat Travis and so many others here in this audience today who served our community in not only government but in so many of the civic and nonprofit organizations. And it is based, as Laurel said at the outset, on a strong and vibrant economy as the foundation of our unique quality of life. And that economic foundation rests on 3 pillars that over the last 30 years have paid off enormously for our community. The first pillar is that all of those machine shops that grew up in the shadow of World War II next to McDonnell Douglas, over the last 30 years, those have recycled into Class A offices that have internationally known firms that are pillars of our economy. We also, with the visionary leadership of creating the 3rd Street Promenade, really reinvented retail and dining urban experiences in Southern California, and we've benefited from very strong sales tax as a result. And as you heard from Misty, our strategy from turning Santa Monica, which was a town of Route 66 motels and people who came originally on the trolley and then on the 10 freeway to spend the day at the beach, now we're an international destination. But all 3 of those pillars of our strong economy are reaching points of diminishing returns. And frankly, anyone who has a business plan that's 30 years old is really a target for disruption. We recognize in city government that we have got to partner, as we did 30 years ago with this community, to think about the future. And that doesn't mean replicating a new strategy like the one we had 30 years ago. It really means being much more nimble and agile, as Mayor Davis said, creating a government that's a 21st century government. It's much more agile, much more nimble, much more entrepreneurial, and much more ready to partner, partnering with the Chamber as we're doing this evening. And as we do throughout the year, and it's a candid, challenging partnership because we don't always agree, but we find that working together beats butting heads. And we partner with travel and tourism, we partner with our incredibly strong downtown Santa Monica Business Improvement District, the largest business improvement district in all of Southern California, and the other bids throughout our city. And we are partnering as well with the Pier Corporation, which is becoming an even bigger player. They're the host, of course, of 9 million visitors a year. And we also partner with 2 incredibly important public agencies that serve our community, our Santa Monica Malibu Unified School District. And I saw Ben Drotti in the audience, but I don't think he's been introduced. Ben, are you still here? All right. And of course, we've got a great delegation, including President Jeffrey and the assistant to the president, Elaine Polachek, from Santa Monica College. So if you would mind standing up. In the 21st century, partnership is absolutely crucial, and not just with major organizations, but as Gleam said at the end of her talk, it is partnering with all of you, because the talent in this audience is indicative of the remarkable foundation of our future prosperity, which is the people of this community and the educational background and expertise of this community. All of us is smarter than any of us. Government doesn't have all the answers. You could give us all the money in your wallets, all the money in your businesses, and we in government all by ourselves could not solve homelessness. But you can put people to work in your businesses. You can volunteer in our community organizations. You can donate to the services that actually make a difference in people's lives. Together, we can make an impact on homelessness, and we're committed in this community to do just that. So before I turn to our screen to hear more about the remarkable three panelists who are going to join me for a discussion about our local economy and about the interaction between Santa Monica and the global economy, let me just say this. The land area on our planet is 57 million square miles. We are 8.3 of those 57 million square miles. It's both our boast and our pride that we think in our 8.3 square miles we can tackle global climate change, that we can tackle creating a new model of mobility, that we can be the benchmark for excellence in law enforcement, that we can be the only 5-star library in the state of California 9 years running. We believe we're special. We believe in thinking globally and acting locally. We believe in being a model for the rest of the world, but we also know that our 8.3 square miles has a responsibility. There is no Santa Monica economy, and no one will ever build a wall around Santa Monica. So what we're going to talk about tonight is our relationship to the nation and the world. So let's hear about some of the remarkable people who are going to join me on stage.
I don't think that people should pigeonhole women into only fashion and beauty. That said, those are multi-billion-dollar markets. I'm still looking for the best companies. I don't think that changes when you're looking for women. You know, we look for a really unique, interesting product that's disrupting the industry somehow.
We have a city and a leading academic institution coming together to exchange ideas and explore solutions to some very complex challenges. As we identify the ways that we can preserve some of the extraordinary prosperity, the extraordinary services, and the really extraordinary community that we have in Santa Monica.
When we look at Mexico's economic performance over the last 30 years, at a macro level, it's been very strong, very pragmatic. I think he's actually playing a game for the hearts and minds of his voters, and this is good TV. This is political theater.
Join me in welcoming Jesse and Anuj and DJ to the stage.
I think so. They may tell us.
Jesse, Anuj,
Rick,
DJ, welcome. So last night, the State of the Union was delivered. And I think regardless of what party you identify with or how you feel about the current administration, I think we all understand as Americans, kind of in the pit of our stomach, that things are not going well in Washington, D.C. Polarization and dysfunction. We just had the longest government shutdown in history, and we seem to be poised on the brink of potentially another one. That, the Chinese express their word for crisis as two characters, danger and opportunity. What's going on in Washington, D.C., and in some other capitals around the globe, does that create dangers or opportunities at the local level? DJ and Anuj?
Thank you. I want to think about just last night, if you watched the program on TV, and then what we've seen tonight here in this room. I mean, the contrast is really striking. And the words that we've heard tonight already, trust, transparency, collaboration, partnership, working together. That was not what we heard.
And not just words.
Right. But I do think it does pervade what goes on even here in Santa Monica. Even 2 points that Mayor Davis said, you had to say that climate change is real. You felt you had to say that, right? Because it's permeating the culture, or that social media, not everything is true. And so it's not far away what you see in Washington, D.C. It does permeate, and it creates, I think, in some ways, greater pressure, greater imperative for local decision makers and policy makers.
And Anuj, you had some experience back there in our nation's capital.
Absolutely, and I think, Rick, if anything, you, which is not your style, you understated the level of dysfunction and really disarray in Washington, D.C. And I think really that underscores the need for us in Santa Monica and in California to lead, to innovate. But I think, you alluded to this in your introduction, we cannot do that in isolation. We cannot become an island. We cannot only break ground just so that we can, tweet things with #resist and think that we are doing something innovative. And, it was alluded to earlier, but the Clean Power Alliance is actually a great example of that. Just as of last week, many people in this room may not even realize that the default for every resident in Santa Monica is now 100% green, renewably sourced energy, and that will be true for businesses by May. And had we just...
And a credit for an assist to Councilmember McEwen, who's been a leader in that.
Absolutely. But had we just done that on our own, we would hardly make a dent in emissions. But what we did was partner with 32 cities and counties in the region, really build a new model for power delivery. And that, I think, is how we have to lead going forward, is partnering, leading, and building that regional capacity in the face of the national dysfunction.
And Jesse, you've been a can-do proponent of what the tech sector can bring to the table.
I feel like neither of you answered the question, which is we have huge opportunity here in Santa Monica. We have enormous opportunity, and as a technology investor, I'm looking to, it was so, first of all, Santa Monica, you're doing such an incredible job. You are working on all of the problems that are a concern to me as someone who's lived here for 12 years, and I am actually actively seeking businesses that problem solve. I was just speaking with the amazing new head of the police department, Cindy, who is, I was talking to her about technologies that would help the police department, and we are of the problem-solving mentality. So as, a representative for the investors in Santa Monica and LA in general, we would like to solve problems too. And I think with technology, we can be even more forward-thinking. We have such an enormous opportunity.
Technology field, though, is underrepresented when it comes to women. So what are the opportunities for women in business and technology as we're seeing now in law enforcement?
Good question. I see women representing, the city very well here, so I'm so proud to be speaking up here. We invest in consumer businesses. There has to be a woman in the founding team. Women raise half as much money and double the return, so it's an enormous opportunity as well. We also, to me, that also breeds diversity, and diversity breeds success. So we actually look for companies that are diverse, in gender, race, age, and just beyond. And so that has been a great investment opportunity for me. But there's, women have just as many opportunities as men.
Well, terrific. Let's talk a little bit more about the economy here in Santa Monica. Anuj, you're leading along with Andy Agel, our very able economic development chief, this economic sustainability plan. Share the progress we've made since last year when we kicked it off here.
Absolutely. So it's really, as far as we can tell and through all the research that we've done, one of a kind. We haven't found another city or state that is looking at the technological challenges and trends that are reshaping our modern economy in quite this way. So we spent the past year, actually kicking off last year on this stage with some of the speakers and your remarks, Rick, to identify the overall themes, the trends that are disrupting the global economy and actually that are relevant to us here in Santa Monica. And what we found is that they're really manifesting in the three areas that actually align with what you identified, which is work, transportation, and retail. And the overall sort of global forces that are reshaping these areas are everything from automation and artificial intelligence to connectivity to the multitude of user options and choices that we all have in this modern economy. And so given the pillars of our economy that we've had for the past few decades, we are now out with an RFP that's actually out now and seeking a team of, and we're wide open really. We're not looking for a specific playbook or a strategy, but a set of policy adaptations, of community engagement strategies that can prepare us and position us to sustain the level of prosperity and services that we have in Santa Monica.
And we're looking for partners who might be a foundation,
Absolutely.
might be a university or think tank, might be a private consulting firm, might be something even more out of the box than those.
Or a combination of any of those things,
Exactly.
too.
So DJ, we're talking your language. This is what you study and talk about all the time. What advice do you have for us in Santa Monica, not only those of us who are working directly on the economic sustainability team, but for all of us who are in business in the community? What should we be paying attention to as we chart our economic sustainability strategy going forward?
Right. I lived right outside of Santa Monica for 16 years and worked at RAND for 16 years, so I spent a lot of time here. And one of the things that struck me, and you hear it, and you heard it in the discussions today, is Santa Monica is a really well-run city, and you really know your city very well, and you know your constituents and the businesses that are here. I think the challenge is really to look globally. We heard about the globally significant businesses. Obviously, you're a magnet for tourism. And importantly, Santa Monica is a place where global businesses come to transact and do business in hotels or film market and so forth. So I think really to think globally. We talked, we heard tonight about transportation and traffic, but the biggest problem in Santa Monica is the 10 freeway, right? That's because a lot of people who work here don't live here. And so that's a really big problem. That's a climate challenge as well. So the housing, affordability, that's because Santa Monica is embedded in, one of the hottest, this is the hottest, if not one or top three hottest global investment regions, all right? Investors are pouring tons of money in here, and that is bidding up prices. And so you need to think perhaps a little bit more about that. what are these kind of larger macro forces? Things like, again, capital locating here. We have obviously technology and innovation, both as what is going on in terms of the industries that you're investing in, whether it's media or advertising or retail, but also, you know, the birds, you know, the scooters of the world, you know, those are kind of globally significant that are shaping.
1 year ago, Travis van der Zanden had a space at WeWork. Today they have 800 staff people in Class A offices headquartered here. That's in 1 year. The fastest growing company in human history started here a year ago. And you're shaping some of that investment that's pouring in to the Los Angeles region and specifically the West Side. How do we adjust so that we, A, can foster innovation, but B, don't lose our local community soul?
I think something else, just to go off of what you were saying, is maintaining the talent, keeping the talent here for technology companies to thrive and grow and create more of these fastest growing companies. You know, we have so many incredible colleges and universities around here. I heard some statistic that I'm sure I'm going to butcher, but you know, that we have more engineering talent like per square foot essentially than most cities. And I mean, you look at all of this talent, a lot of the talent is commuting up to San Francisco still. And so I think because we're still a city that's growing,
although Bird's CFO
as far as technology goes,
gets on the plane in Palo Alto and commutes here,
yes,
so it's going both ways.
It goes both ways, you're right. But I'm figuring out ways to really keep the talent here, and I think it's happening. You know, we have all of these great technology companies, but just thinking about that as far as a macro trend as well.
And our school district and our college are, of course, wanting to make sure that, that the talent is not just the stereotype of folks with engineering degrees who are male and white, but rather that it really reflects.
It's incredibly diverse.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fantastic. I think this is definitely one of the most diverse cities and talent pools, and that's such an amazing opportunity and positive thing as far as, like, we can set an example for the world.
And Anuj, how do we in local government navigate to make sure that this community's desire that we continue to be a real place and have thriving local businesses and the folks who are, whether they're in accounting or dry cleaning or engineering or whatever field, that they are able to adjust and that our legacy businesses are going to thrive as well as our brand new ones?
It's a real challenge, but I think it's core, and it's something that we're keeping at the center of our economic sustainability strategy, because that talent retention and attraction only exists if Santa Monica remains a great place to live, with world-class libraries and parks, with, you know, a pristine ocean front, with safety, with, you know, easy ways to get around and mitigation of some of the traffic. And so I think the issues that will serve our broader economic prosperity and our future pillars are the ones that will actually serve our current residents, our current businesses, by keeping this a great place to live and work.
And DJ, it's still early in 2019, and if last year was for us the year of the scooter, as you scan, at least it was the summer of the scooter, as you scan the horizon, what should we be looking for here in Santa Monica that's happening around us on the global stage?
I think what you're going to see starting this year to a significant extent, especially here in the United States, is control, or efforts to try and get control of technology in a variety of ways. Obviously, you're seeing, you know, a significant push around privacy issues at the national level. Obviously, we see this already in Europe, and that is now coming to the United States. So control over just our information and our personal identities. But I think very clearly around the scooter issue, right? Control of our sidewalks, control of who has the ability to locate a technology or use our public spaces. So technology policy, I think, is going to become much more important because there's an inverse, which is fear of the future. And that is, I think, a really big force in the world right now. Even in a place like Santa Monica, which is all about the future, you're thinking about the future, riding the wave, there's still a significant fear of the future. And it's if you even think about it in many of your local retailers, right? Are they going to have a business next year? Or are they going to be taken out by an online retailer? So I think this underlying embrace of technology, but also thinking about, it's obviously it's disruption. And for many people, disruption is a great thing and it's exciting. But for a lot of people, disruption is disruption. Mm-hmm. And I think you'll see it in policy at a range of levels. So I think it's really important to think about the dark undercurrent that can get manifested in politics or debates, public policy debates around technology. It's real, and I think policymakers need to be aware of that. And of course, the technology investors.
Speaking of disruption, if you want to ask a question of any of the folks out on the panel, if you're on Twitter, we've got a hashtag. It's hashtag SAMO, S-A-M-O, SOTC, that's State of the City 2019. Tweet your questions up to me, and somehow I'm going to make this magic thing tell me what those questions are. And we'll be able to pose some of your questions. But let me continue with this theme about, Jesse, what's your advice for local businesses who want to be here 5 and 10 years from now, want to employ more people, want to not just, I'll use a Kennedy quote, Mayor Davis. He said, our national purpose is not to merely to survive, but to prevail. So how do the local businesses, apologies to all Patriots fans, you've won enough. It's our turn next year. So how do local businesses take DJ's challenge and prevail?
I think better communication between businesses and supporting one another, and I think the city can do a great job of getting all the local businesses involved too. They can, the local businesses have a lot of power over what technologies are being used, and you could band together as a group and say, we're all going to use this type of software. Because it supports these 3 things that we believe in. And so I think it's about communication between, share customers, and then also don't repel innovation. We have a great company called Shipsy that is LA-based, and they're in Venice actually, and they are solving same-day delivery for everyone who is not Amazon. So as far as local businesses go, I'm sure that sounds very exciting. It's also free ship, like you would not have to pay a shipping cost. They actually partner with last mile delivery services, and it sounds like I'm doing an ad for them. I saw her this morning, so she's top of mind. And I think to work with a company like that actually gives you an advantage, and you can, if you're selling something in your store, you can actually make a better margin by working with a company like that. So, to explore the innovative opportunities in the city also, and I think, again, Santa Monica can facilitate this communication.
And to Edgar Arenas, I managed to call up your question on Twitter, so we'll jump in here for a moment. Why does the city of Santa Monica not have any public supercharging stations? Good question. We do have a new strategy for moving forward with the charging. We're going to triple our charging stations, including supercharging. And by the way, Tesla's taken out an application that will only be for Tesla owners, but we'll also be moving in that direction on the public side. So, Anuj, what about the changes in local government? What does it take to be a 21st century government to be able to support a business community and continue to protect the public interest and the common good?
I think the transparency and responsiveness components are crucial, and especially in our current world, that begins our front door for most people is our website. And any of you in the room who've seen it or been on it lately knows that it's not up to our standard or to the 21st century government standard, and we're on it. Fortunately, Debbie Lee, who you saw in the video, and her team in communications are working actively, and I think by the fall we'll have dramatically improved and redesigned website that will not just be for show, but it will truly be a portal for residents who have a need to engage with the city, for businesses who have questions or needs, for permitting, for getting business done more easily. That is a vital tool, and I think just everything that does to build trust, build transparency for anyone who's trying to do business with or interact with the city, that's really a game changer that we're looking forward to this year.
And let me go back to you and give Jesse and DJ a chance to jump in as well. David Murphy asks, as someone who loves Santa Monica and founded a business here but can't afford to live here because the rents are too damn high, how can we make a difference in the priority the council's identified for a number of years running and the community has voted for, which is to provide an inclusive opportunity, not just for folks in the affordable housing, but for people who work here?
I think it's vital, and it serves so many different interests, as DJ referenced earlier. I mean, housing affordability is also a climate issue in ways that I think folks over the last several years have begun to appreciate. And so it has to be multifaceted, and it begins with enforcing the laws that the council has passed in recent years with regard to home sharing, with regard to corporate housing, and ensuring that there is not skirting of those laws. And at the same time, our council has directed us to look at every other opportunity there is to preserve and expand not just affordable housing, but also kind of that middle worker level housing, which is something that I think often gets lost in the conversation.
And Jesse, the tech community has jumped into affordable housing issues and put up real money in Seattle and the Bay Area. What can the business community in Los Angeles do to help on this challenge?
I mean, it's a good question. I think it's one, I'm still trying to figure out myself as far as looking for business opportunities within this space. I know, we're seeing a lot more as far as, it's not housing, but we're seeing a lot more WeWork type situations, and I think these WeWork-oriented businesses are also starting to provide housing and trying to solve this problem.
Yeah,
too.
the LA Business Journal this week has a story about a We Live project in Playa del Rey.
We Live.
Yeah. DJ, this is not just a Los Angeles problem, this is a national and even international challenge as investment comes back into cities after 50 years of flowing out to the suburbs. The danger is that the people who've been loyal to our cities, the people who've made those cities work when the money was gone, now they're at risk of being displaced. And that would have a devastating impact on families who've made this their home. How do we cope with that?
That's going to be a challenge. I think the affordability issue is a flip side of all the success that you've had here, making Santa Monica a really livable, enjoyable community, a jobs magnet. So that is, it's created part of the problem. So I think just continuing to focus on affordability, obviously on the homelessness as you are, and working obviously with our neighboring cities in the region, right? Because it is a regional problem. I would challenge the city to think about, do you have a coherent foreign policy? And foreign policy in terms of the region, and you have a really well articulated city priorities. Can you perhaps articulate those more forcefully and powerfully outside the borders to help address the homelessness issue, affordability, climate? That'd be my challenge.
In that same spirit, last week I was at a conference titled Strategies for Inclusive Urban Growth, and it was in Dallas, Texas. So the business community in Texas is increasingly focused on how important it is that growth be inclusive, That's not what we think of in Blue California when we think about Red Texas. That the folks there are thinking about greater equity and making sure that women and people of color and low-income families benefit from prosperity and growth. Now, if Red Texas is thinking along those lines, Blue California has to do a better job of doing that. And so I would echo Mayor Davis's call at the end of her State of the City address today, which is, what can you do? Again, what can you do to make this a city that works for everyone? And how can we in government partner with you to do it? Let's thank three remarkable people who have shared their insights and posed a challenge to all of us. Let's go out there and create a city that works for everyone.